Coming up on AgweekTV, we'll talk to commodity group leaders about the hot issues for their organization at this year's Commodity Classic in Orlando, Florida.
I'm Katie Pinky. I'll take you 15 minutes south of Minneapolis-St. Paul to Elko, Minnesota, to a unique farm that is outwintering cows.
And we'll look at a profitable alternative to soybeans for the 2019 growing season. Welcome to AgweekTV. I'm Michelle Rook. This week our show comes to you from Orlando, Florida, the site of this year's Commodity Classic. This is one of the largest trade shows and annual meetings in the nation. With more than 8,000 in attendance, representing $3 billion in total gross farm income. The show includes 5 trade associations: the American Soybean Association, National Corn Growers Association, National Association of Wheat Growers, National Sorghum Growers Association, and the Association of Equipment Manufacturers. I had the chance to talk to leadership of several of the commodity groups while here this week. Joining us here from Commodity Classic is Bill Gordon, ASA Vice President, and let's talk about trade. It's been so predominant this year for you guys. China, we've made some movement. We still don't have the tariffs lifted, and that's really the key thing for you, isn't it?
Yeah, and then that market is such a huge portion of our soybean exports, and that's what's hurt so bad. And at least the administration still continue to talk. They didn't have the March 1 90-day deadline where we put the other tariffs on and now wrecked all we've worked for. They've extended those talks, and hopefully they can come to some kind of resolution.
And as far as the EU, it sounds like if we put auto tariffs on them, they may walk away from the table in terms of working out a deal with us.
And agriculture has always been interesting with the EU because there's a lot of protectionism for their producers, and yeah, so same thing, tit for tat kind of a situation. If you're going to do this to us, we're going to pull away from agriculture. We need to, be smart with our negotiations. We need to keep our agriculture products in the European Union. They're a huge market for us, granted not as large as China, but right now any market for the U.S. soybeans and corn and wheat and biofuels is super important because of the lack of China. So yeah, anytime you have those kind of situations, we need to keep at the table, work on negotiations, not threaten each other back and forth. Let's come to some resolution.
But what else is on ASA's agenda here for 2019 legislatively?
Well, just really the right to farm. You look outside of the trades. You have the biodiesel, the renewable fuels, kind of the right to farm, right to produce there, and then also transportation infrastructure. Our infrastructure is still crumbling. We've made some advances. Our locks and dam systems need to advance and get rebuilt, and we have the money sitting there. We just need to reallocate it and make it a better spot. So you've got basically trade, biodiesel, and then trade infrastructure, the transportation.
Yeah, let's talk about biodiesel for sure. Biodiesel tax incentive has still not been renewed, and so that's a big thing for you guys, isn't it?
Well, it is, and it really helps rural communities. And one thing that this country and Congress and administration always talk about is helping the middle-class American, helping central, middle America area, and those plants are all located in those areas. And now we have some new plants coming online in the southwest. But those all are rural people in jobs and economic development and bringing jobs to these communities, and it's important. That dollar tax credit is still a young industry when you compare it to the petroleum industry or other industries. Biodiesel is still a young industry, and we're still expanding, and that really helps bring that profit margin up enough so they can expand and keep those plants coming.
Great. It's been a pleasure. Thanks so much. Bill Gordon joining us here, ASA Vice President. Bayer also held their annual advocacy forum here at Commodity Classic, and this year's general theme was food trends. Rose Dunn joins us with an overview.
Michelle, some of the trends speakers talked about today were the amount of food consumers are eating away from home or buying prepared to bring home, and how that's affecting growers. But perhaps the biggest is the impact of technology on everything from planting to picking and distribution. Bonnie Estes, the Vice President of Technology for the Produce Marketing Association, talked about some big changes in our food system. She talked about robotic pickers that will ease the worker shortage and the importance of integrating data for a number of uses, including traceability.
Right now we have data all over the farm that is siloed in different areas and it's not connected together. And so looking at how do we use that data to produce better food, more nutritious, lower cost for consumers, and that's going to take talent to do that.
Speakers also talked about what the future of the food industry looks like, including gene editing and cellular agriculture like fake meat.
Coming up on AgweekTV, we're just south of Minneapolis-St. Paul, and we'll take you to a unique farm that is outwintering dairy cows.
Do you have a vested interest in land?
The upcoming Great Plains Land Expo is a must-attend event for landowners, developers, mineral interest owners, farm operators, and investors.
Join us on Wednesday, June 26 in Fargo as we hear from a variety of industry leaders speaking on topics relating to land, energy, and minerals.
You'll discover ways to capitalize on agriculture and energy opportunities and learn how to become a better steward of our natural resources.
Early bird rates are available, so register today at GreatPlainsLandExpo.com.
At Superior Grain Equipment, we're committed to quality and service, offering you the best in grain storage and dryers for any size operation. Our experts will work with you to determine the most efficient and economical storage solution for your needs. We help protect your bottom line and your future with the industry's best bins and warranties. Make the superior choice for protection today and tomorrow with Superior Grain Equipment.
Luckin Trucks and Parts sells quality used parts for all makes and models. With over 50 acres of trucks and parts and new inventory arriving daily. Family owned and operated since 1966, Luckin's specializes in the sale of quality used medium to heavy duty truck parts as well as pre-owned trucks, trailers, and construction equipment. If it's on a truck, we got it. Call us today and let us get you your part.
Yeehaw! It's time for the 82nd Annual North Dakota Winter Show. Make your way to Valley City March 5th through 10th for all the excitement. Party in the Dirt on March 8th with Confederate Railroad, Chancey Williams and the Younger Brothers, and Redline. PRCA Rodeo on March 9th and 10th is filled with thrilling rodeo action and mutton busting. You don't want to miss out on exciting events like tractor pulls, horse pulls, ranch rodeo, and special stage acts. Complete schedule and tickets online at NorthDakotaWinterShow.com or find us on Facebook.
Make sure your farm equipment is season ready with an uptime inspection from your Titan Machinery service professionals. Titan Machinery's team of Case IH factory-trained service technicians has the knowledge and experience to find, correct, and prevent mechanical issues that could shut you down during the season. Your planting and harvest windows are short. For genuine Case IH parts and service, schedule an off-season uptime inspection at Titan Machinery today. Titan Machinery, your local Case IH dealer.
Welcome back. We're here at Commodity Classic talking to some of the nation's top farmers about how they're using innovation to drive profitability and yield on their farms. However, Katie Pinky recently visited a Minnesota operation that is taking a much different approach.
Michelle, recently I had the opportunity to talk to a small organic farmer just outside the Twin Cities to talk about the unique techniques they're using to remain viable.
The farm has been here since 1906, but actually its Webers have been farming in this area for over 8 generations. We are currently grass-fed organic. Today we have not only our dairy farm, which is about 60% of our operation, we also have a grass-fed beef operation, we have a natural pork operation, and we also do pasture chickens and free-range laying hens.
Innovation on your farm looks different for every farm. What are some aspects that you're doing different on your farm?
For us, it's really been about how do we stay in farm in the area that we're in, being so surrounded by, the urban development. For example, because of where we are, we're not zoned agriculture anymore. And so that puts a lot of limits on how we can expand our operation or change our operation. For example, buildings. And so we're not allowed to put on big agriculture structures to grow our operation, and so we have to really think outside the box.
What has innovation brought to your farm?
For example, outwintering our cows in the winter time, where they have that choice of being out on pasture in a sheltered area, with windbreaks or trees, but also having the opportunity to come inside too.
There's lots of different methods. Some have no buildings at all and just windbreaks. Some put them in woods.
What's the perception of that? What do people think when they see that?
You got to understand that a cow is a ruminant. Their body temperature, just standing still, is 101 degrees. Plus, they are ruminating at that same time, and so that's producing a lot of heat. On a bright sunny day like this, it's hovering right around 5 degrees today. They're all standing outside. They're just fine. As long as we can protect them from the wind, they actually choose to be outside versus that choice to be inside. There's a lot of health benefits in that, and we just see that in our cows. They're healthy.
What would you say to potentially a farmer struggling in the dairy business right now, and how would you provide them some encouragement?
I think I'd really encourage them just to kind of start thinking outside the box. It doesn't always have to be the way it's always been. And with the dairy industry, the fluid milk is not what's selling. What's selling right now is the cheese and the yogurt. And so really paying attention to that and making sure that that's something we're doing on our farm, is breeding for higher components, higher fats and the proteins, because that's where we're being incentivized.
Joining us now to talk more about outwintering dairy cattle is one of the foremost authorities on the subject, Brad Hines. Brad, tell us a little bit more about the advantages of outwintering dairy cattle.
Well, there's many advantages of outwintering dairy cows. First is really economics. That's probably the main reason that most people do it. You don't need a barn, and it's much easier to deal with the cattle outdoors because you don't have to clean up as much manure. Feeding is much easier. We have seen less mastitis in cows that are outwintered. We've also seen less respiratory problems.
And is there an impact on feed costs with this practice?
It will affect the feed costs a little bit. It certainly depends on the weather outside. When it was 40 and 50 below zero, of course the cows are going to eat more during that time period because of body maintenance. But if it's just a normal winter, typically they don't eat that much more than a cow would in a normal sort of barn setting.
And how can people get more information?
You can go to our website. It's West Central Research and Outreach Center at the University of Minnesota. We're a part of the College of Ag, Food, and Natural Resource Sciences at the University of Minnesota, and I have numerous resources on outwintering there on our website.
Thanks, Brad. Still ahead on AgweekTV, we'll tell you about a profitable crop that's replacing soybeans in the 2019 growing season, and we'll have the spring market outlook for land values in the region.
This is Dennis Poliski reminding you the Grand Forks Area Equipment and Truck Auction has been rescheduled to March 29th, giving you extra time to make your buy or sell decisions. You have a host of opportunities to sell your no longer needed unit, but none will bring you the results we're known for. The auction is well promoted, well known, and held in an environment that makes our buyers more focused. Great program, great facility, most important, great results. Once again, the auction is March 29th, at deadline March 6th. Find us at resourceauction.com or call 701-757-4015.
Big Boy Toys.
Better beef, always. Join us for the Wolf Cattle Opportunity Sale on Tuesday, March 19th at our Sandy Ridge Ranch near Atkinson, Nebraska. This is your opportunity to buy some of the most efficient Limousine, Lim Flex, and Angus beef producing genetics in the industry. Attend our pre-sale seminar on Monday and view the entire offering of 410 bulls and 50 females on site for the sale on Tuesday, March 19th at our Sandy Ridge Ranch, Atkinson, Nebraska. For more information, go to wolfcattle.com.
How can one tillage tool handle most field conditions, residue types, and tillage practices? It takes a Renegade, the Summers VRT Renegade. Switch from vertical to aggressive tillage and anywhere in between. Adjust blade angles, tillage depth, and more on the go, all from an iPad. Get the tillage results you want, like only the Summers VRT Renegade can. For more information or a demo, contact your Summers dealer.
Upgrade your trailer to electric with the Rolltech electric system from AgriCover. Strong, flexible pivot arms and motor mount rotate and telescope, allowing the roll tube to rise and flex over heaped loads. The positive automatic lock is impossible to back off to control the flow of grain. This integrated system uses one wireless remote to operate up to 10 tarps and hoppers, keeping your driver out of the dust, rain, and harm's way. See the Rolltech system in action at an AgriCover dealer near you.
Welcome back. With lower prices and profit potential for soybeans, farmers in the northern Corn Belt are looking for alternatives. Many are considering pulse crops like field peas and faba beans for the first time, and the premiums being paid are only enhancing that interest. Dry or field peas fare best in arid or semi-arid conditions. So not surprisingly, western North Dakota and Montana dominate U.S. production with over 80% of the total. But with the end of the long wet cycle in the Red River Valley, dry peas potentially could recapture acres this spring. The outlook is strong domestically and globally as well due to high demand for protein.
Worldwide, there's a shortage of protein and there's hungry people all over. So that's how we know that we can provide a good protein product, and we can do it relatively cheap with not a tremendous amount of resources.
The potential profit from dry peas and faba beans isn't the only reason to grow these crops. As legumes, they can fix nitrogen in the soil, reducing nitrogen fertilizer costs. Our crop stop this week takes us to central South Dakota, where a cattle producer is dealing with our harsh winter. Gary Zilverberg and his family run about 20 head of rodeo horses and 60 head of beef cows on their ranch north of Holabird. That's about 40 miles east of Pierre. Zilverberg says the winter started out mild, but the sub-zero temperatures of the last few weeks have been tough. Yet Zilverberg takes it in stride.
Well, we've been really lucky. Until the middle of January, it's been a pretty open winter, which made it really nice. Feed consumption was down and stuff, but it's almost doubled in the last 3 weeks what it takes to maintain these cows and horses.
Zilverberg has been a championship rodeo cowboy for 40 years, and the family competes in rodeos around the country. They also train horses. Will our harsh winter continue? We'll find out in this week's AgriWeather Outlook.
Weather portion of Ag Week now, and there are signs of spring, although sometimes some of the coldest weather of the year comes in early March. Winter cannot beat the March sunshine, and so we do have an end to the frigid weather in sight, albeit not right now. Very cold weather, northern plains, upper Midwest this weekend. But this should be it. Weather should gradually begin warming up the next couple of weeks. Unfortunately, the warm-up will be coming with some snow chances, but throughout the wet period that often comes in March, there will be the beginnings of the thaw. We'll get into the freeze-thaw cycle here during this period. Of course, the cold weather of the last 6 weeks, northern plains has been brought by this flow that goes up to the pole and then drops polar weather southward. We've been getting air that's been blowing across Greenland and Hudson Bay down into our region, and one last little push of it this weekend is keeping us well frozen in the northern plains. But that's going to go and retreat. This cross-polar flow will shift west and weaken a bit so that our overall pattern, while not exactly warm this coming week, will certainly be less cold. And as we get into next week, which becomes basically almost to the middle of March now, March 10th through 16th, there will likely be some days that at least thaw a little bit. Northern plains, upper Midwest, down in Nebraska and Kansas should get fairly mild. This week's precip pattern, there will be some snows coming out through the upper Midwest. Can't say exactly where they'll be. Heaviest snow probably south of North Dakota. Rains confined to the central part of the country and the west. Moving ahead to the second week of the forecast, precipitation-wise, I do fear that storm track coming a little bit further north and a few shots of rain across the south, but at least the weather will be beginning to turn around in terms of temperature. Even if we're still adding a little bit of snow to the pack, we'll start to melt it a little bit by the middle of the month of March.
Field Drainage Inc. has perfected the art of agricultural drainage by helping hundreds of farmers since 1978. We are a second-generation family-owned business for over 35 years. The Field Drainage Inc. team will work closely with you to conduct a thorough analysis of your needs and expectations, provide an estimate that fits your budget, perform all work in a timely and professional manner, and provide continued service after installation. Field Drainage Inc., your trusted drain tile installation company for over 35 years.
Martinson Ag Risk Management offers a variety of crop marketing and crop insurance packages to our customers. With over 40 years of experience, our dedicated staff works hard to ensure you get the best advice on crop insurance, marketing, and risk management. Contact Randy or any of the staff at Martinson Ag Risk Management today at 701-205-4200 or visit us online at martinsonag.com.
When planting season comes around, time is precious and you don't have a moment to waste.
This spring, keep your planters rolling with a user-friendly seed tender from North Star Ag. We have seed tenders for every sized operation from Meridian, Unverferth, and J&M. North Star Ag also sells a variety of Valmar spreaders, the leader in air boom delivery, and is a full-service Meridian hopper bin dealer. Visit NorthstarAg.com to see our complete new and used equipment inventory or give us a call.
Farmers take pride in growing safe, affordable, nutritious food. And since over 90% of U.S. farms are family or individually owned, keeping land and animals healthy makes sense for all of us. If you have questions about the food you eat, talk to the people who grow it. North Dakota farmers and ranchers are your best source for reliable facts on food and farming. Visit findourcommonground.com and become part of the food conversation today. Brought to you by the North Dakota Soybean Checkoff.
Steffes Group, selling land and the equipment to farm it since 1960. If you're interested in selling or have questions about our auction process, head to our website at steffesgroup.com to contact us at any one of our 4 locations located throughout the Midwest. You can also visit and subscribe to our YouTube channel to view all of our auction previews and recaps to stay up to date on the market in your area.
Scott Steffes is joining us, president of the Steffes Group. Let's talk about your spring market outlook.
So far, so good. It seems like the folks in the markets that we operate in are really feeling confident or maybe optimistic that the bottoms are in, and all the things that are happening from a political and a production perspective seem to be placed in the marketplace, and now they're looking forward and being optimistic.
What do we see happening with land values right now as a result?
People still value farmland above all else, and 2018 was a very, very strong year in spite of what we've been hearing from commodity prices, the politics, and all those other things. And I think it's directly related to the value that people place on farmland. It seems like the better quality of the farmland, the more in demand it is. We've seen some weakness in some of the poorer ground, some of the stuff that's not so production oriented, but overall the farmland deal is steady to strong, and you can make a very strong argument that it's actually up.
Now, the Dow is kind of pulled back off of its highs. We see interest rate environment. The Fed is kind of cooling off of maybe more rate increases. What is that going to mean for the land market?
Honestly, that's probably the biggest risk, because it's the one that you can't really adjust to. Interest rates with a stroke of a pen change profits, and those are going to be negative in the marketplace. People thrive on lower interest rates. It gets them more optimistic.
And what about machinery values and what you're seeing in terms of that trend?
It's been good. We're the result of what's been happening in the last couple of years is shorter supplies. It's different than it was in the 80s. Manufacturers didn't slow down back then. You don't see 1, 2, 3, 4-year-old tractors or combines on dealer lots unsold. There's no inventory out there. The dealers have really pared it down. Sure, there's some supply out there, but the reality of it is new has done nothing but continue to rise, and that makes the used market all that more beneficial.
If we get this trade deal figured out with China and we get an appreciation in the commodity markets, how much will that help the outlook for land values and rental rates and everything else?
Stability is more what we're looking for. We're not interested in this big run-up or anything of that nature. If we can continue with where we're at, get some sort of bump so we can show some profits and enjoy the farming world that we really truly do, things are going to be just fine.
So Scott, if folks want to get more information about your spring market outlook or anything we talked about here today, how do they do that?
In today's world, it's all about the internet. SteffesGroup.com, tons of information, a lot of good quality information out there from market conditions, and more importantly, what we have coming up.
So good to see you. Thanks so much. Scott Steffes, president of the Steffes Group. When we come back on Ag Week TV, we'll have more from this year's Commodity Classic in Orlando, Florida.
With the success of the Case IH Steiger Quad Track and Magnum Road Track tractors, it's no secret why Case IH is the leader of the track. So it wasn't surprising when the competition started imitating us. But only Case IH offers a 5-axle design to give you a smoother ride, more power to the ground, with less berming and compaction. Still, we're flattered. In fact, if we weren't already red, we'd be blushing.
Better beef always. Join us for the Wolf Cattle Opportunity Sale on Tuesday, March 19th at our Sandy Ridge Ranch near Atkinson, Nebraska. This is your opportunity to buy some of the most efficient Limousin, Limflex, and Angus beef producing genetics in the industry. Attend our pre-sale seminar on Monday and view the entire offering of 410 bulls and 50 females on site for the sale on Tuesday, March 19th at our Sandy Ridge Ranch, Atkinson, Nebraska. For more information, go to wolfcattle.com.
With the all-new GreenFit system from Ricard, plug and play is finally a reality when using John Deere AutoTrack guidance with existing new products like the Challenger 1000 series or all-new C-Series Rogators from Butler Machinery. GreenFit is an authorized navigation interface that utilizes existing John Deere AutoTrack guidance system to steer most Challenger tractors and sprayers. GreenFit eliminates the worry of learning and converting to a new steering system when buying an industry-leading Challenger from Butler Machinery. Learn more about GreenFit at butlermachinery.com.
Where do you go for the latest news in agriculture? AgWeek magazine. Reaching over 70,000 farmers and ranchers in North Dakota, Minnesota, South Dakota, and Montana. AgWeek provides the most up-to-date information on the markets, the trends, and the people who make it all happen. We're your source for news, not fluff. Dependable, trusted. AgWeek. Subscribe today by calling 1-800-811-2580.
AgWeek is excited to bring you the AgWeek app with useful features and the latest news and information right at your fingertips. Get your AgWeek news, weather, and the latest episodes of AgweekTV. Plus, see real-time information on the futures market and view local cash bids for your crops. Stay updated and take AgWeek with you wherever you are. Download the AgWeek app today. Welcome back. This year's Bear Advocacy Forum here at Commodity Classic featured cross-industry insights on the future of food, including gene editing technology, plant-based foods, and cellular agriculture. Andrew Noyes is with a California-based company developing cell-based protein. He says they're years away from large-scale commercialization, and there are still questions on the carbon footprint of the product.
Whether it's more sustainable or as sustainable or even less sustainable, we need to really scale up our facilities and see what we're looking at a commercial scale.
Futurist Nicholas Badminton says he thinks some consumers will choose cell-based protein or plant-based alternatives, but they aren't the answer to global hunger.
Is it going to help those countries that are really struggling to feed its populations? I don't think that's where it's going to start, and I don't think it's going to get there for 2 or 3 decades in terms of its efficacy.
NCBA's Kevin Kester says they aren't afraid of the competition. They just want the products regulated and on a level playing field.
Everybody go by the same rules, and most importantly, there's no uncertainty on what the definitions are and what the requirements are for all our products.
He says there are no definitions yet for these products, and there are many unknowns, like the level of antibiotics that will be used. Thanks for joining us for this edition of AgweekTV from Commodity Classic. Remember, for all your ag news, go to agweek.com or download the AgWeek app. You can also follow us on Facebook and Twitter as well. We'll see you next week.